Hello everyone and welcome back to the United Star. We're back with another FPL video and game week 3 is upon us. Things are getting excited and the United Star League is heating up. This week we had 114 points as the top point scorer in Hellfire squad managed by Nirav Modi. And at number 1 also Keur's 11 has been replaced by Akshay's team, which is known as Giants Bane. He's got 166 points. I'm on 164 points, just 2 points behind in third place. And KU's 11 is in second place with 165 points. So let's get straight into it with Shivan. Shivan, how did your team do and what was your reflection of the week?
It was a very high scoring week, 44 goals. So a lot of big 100-point scores. I had an average game week because most of my players didn't do well. So only I got in James Rodriguez, as I said last week, and he got in 12 points. And apart from that, only really Aubameyang, Justin, Jimenez, and Alexander-Arnold scored well for me. So it was a poor game week, but not to worry, no panic involved because it's at the start of the season, you can't really predict what's going to happen. So a lot of people would have transferred out Son, transferred out Ings, and they did well. So it's still a lot of time to go. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So no worries.
Yeah. But Shivan, last week, I was especially saying, and when you said that, you shouldn't be so fast and loose with transferring a Son and a Kane out. You picked them for a reason, and we were proven right this week, right? They did do incredibly well. So I, for one, have had 2 consistent weeks with 80 points plus now, and I'm happy about that. I've not been able to get the 100-point haul because I've not got my captaincy choice right in any of the weeks. But my team is doing well. I had both the hat-trick heroes from last week in DCL and Son. So that worked out well for me. I captained Aubameyang as most people thought he was going to do well. But 1 assist, not particularly good. Salah flopped as well. And to be honest, I was never going to captain DCL or Son. They were very far-field differentials for me. So it's fine. I think Mitrovic getting 2 goals was a big bonus. I didn't expect that to happen. So a good week all in all.
Especially the penalty as well.
Yeah, exactly. So a good week all in all. If I keep averaging 80 points a week, I don't think I can complain. But Shivan, what transfers are you looking at this week? This week seems interesting.
Yeah, this week especially seems interesting because now you have Man City assets to consider. And you've got so many other players doing well. You maybe want to get rid of Aubameyang. Many people are on the wildcards also right now. So it's an interesting week. I've already made my transfer this week actually. So I've got rid of Aubameyang and I've gotten Kevin De Bruyne because the way they played and the way De Bruyne played as a number 10, because usually City line up with 3 midfielders and De Bruyne as the right sided of the 3. But against Wolves on Monday, they played with 2 defensive midfielders with Rodri and Fernandinho, and they had De Bruyne playing as a number 10. So he was involved in basically every attack, and everything flowed through him. And he's on penalties as well right now. So we know this season penalties is a big factor. So I got in Kevin De Bruyne ahead of Raheem Sterling.
Also, Shivan, let me add another statistic here. Kevin De Bruyne in that one game, obviously it's not a sample size. His expected goal was 0.35, whereas Raheem Sterling's was 0.05, which is basically next to nothing. So clearly, he upped him in both touches in the box and chances created.
Yeah, I'm not sure how often he'll play with that number 10 role because I think Wolves play 3 at the back. So Guardiola wanted to counter that with the De Bruyne at number 10. But it's great because last season he was the top point scorer, 35 goal involvements. So he's going to be a constant drip feed of points. So I'm really happy with Kevin De Bruyne. Now, with Sergio Aguero being out, Gabriel Jesus is a big option. Phil Foden's now playing at right wing. We don't know what Riyad Mahrez's situation is with the COVID-19 and Bernardo Silva is injured. So Foden could be a great asset as well at that price. So there's plenty of Manchester City assets, and I think going forward, you need, if not 1, maybe even 2 Manchester City assets in your team in the future.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Shivan, there, because one way to look at it is that Kevin De Bruyne is like, he's there in almost everybody's team. His ownership is quite high. So he's not, any points he gets is points that everyone gets, and it's not like you're going to move up. So the second Manchester City player essentially is your differential, or essentially is the Man City player that is allowing you to move up in the table. I agree with you there. But are you making just 1 transfer because are you making 2?
No, so my FPL team got hacked. So I've already had 2 transfers made somehow on my team. We can put the screenshot here of what happened to my team. I'm still sorting that out with the FPL people. So I've been forced into only making one transfer this week. But if I was making another transfer, I'd look into getting Podence from Wolves or Reece James from Chelsea. So we saw Podence play at that right forward spot along with Jimenez. He nutmegged Kevin De Bruyne. He had great shots on target as well. And
Got an
at only
assist.
five, yeah, and he got an assist as well. So at 5.5 million, I think he's a great option. I'm not sure if Douglas Costa's coming to Wolves. That might throw a spanner in the works, but Foden's looking great. Apart from that, Reece James, I think Chelsea will do really well. They just beat Barnsley 6-0, and they're getting Eduard Mendy. Kepa's
Kai
finally out.
Havertz with the hat trick.
Yeah, Kai Havertz got a hat trick as well. So I think Chelsea will turn a corner, and they have a great fixture against West Brom. So that's why I think Reece James could be a great option if he nails his starts. That's the big key.
So actually, I had, like I said, I didn't make any transfers last week. So I have two transfers this week. I've
Yeah.
already made one of those two transfers, and I've actually gotten Daniel Podence for Alan Maximan. I made that straight swap. Also, because Maximan looked injured, and
Yeah.
I wasn't sure what he's going to do. And Newcastle, after that 1-2-0 victory, they didn't look particularly good against Brighton the
Brighton.
other day.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's why I already transferred Podence, and Shivan's already mentioned. The only thing to be wary is that his expected goals is not that high currently, but that also might be due to the fact that he didn't start that often last season. Now the fact that Jota is gone and they've got Semedo, but like Traore seems to be playing that right wing back position, I think Podence will get more and more opportunities, and even he probably will start. Even if Semedo comes in, he might start on the left instead of Neto. So I think Podence is a good shout there.
Yeah.
The other transfer I'm yet considering, I know De Bruyne, the underlying statistics are far better, but Sterling has got their ability to be explosive. So it's between the two of them. I'm considering one of them. The disappointing thing for every Man United fan is because when the FPL season started, everyone was like, you have to get Man United assets into the team along with City assets post game week 2. But I'm highly reconsidering that, Shivan, right now because I yet don't know which Man United assets to bring in. And
Yeah.
more than that, they have very hard fixtures every alternate game. So I'm not sure whether that price investment is worth it and sacrificing someone like a Salah or a Werner or a Son even now.
Especially because right now we have so many options in attack that you don't want to waste an attack and waste so much money on a United asset when they don't look convincing. So many teams look convincing, so many players look convincing that you don't want to spend that money, spend 10.5 million or 9.5 million on a Rashford or Fernandez.
Right. I completely agree with you, but if you were to bring in a United asset, I'd yet say that Bruno or Martial are your best bets. Even though Rashford got a goal midweek, it seems
Yeah.
that Bruno and Martial is the way forward. So, Shivan, why don't you take us through another few fixtures that you're looking out for this week and some players from those teams that you might recommend?
So the players I'm looking at right now, firstly is Everton. Everton looked great against West Brom. They won 5-2, and they have still two nice fixtures coming up. So I think James Rodriguez or Dominic Calvert-Lewin, they're two players that maybe either one of them should be in your team by now because they're looking like they are a new team and they've a rejuvenated midfield. So they will share the points among themselves. So look to get one of them in. And if you're like a defender from their team, I'd say get Luka Dean. He didn't get any points against West Brom, but he ended up like getting so far forward, and you saw how many open chances he had. He just kept crossing the ball for Dominic Calvert-Lewin. On another day, he could have got 2 assists, and I think he had the post also with a free kick. So Luka Dean will get points in the near future. So he is definitely someone. If you want a defensive transfer, if you want to remove Trent or Robertson, you can move to him. Otherwise, I'm looking at the Tottenham game. So they're playing Newcastle, and I'm not too bullish on Newcastle's chances. So I think it's going to be another route for Son and another route for Kane. I'm not sure if their defense will still be great because they're still getting Doherty and Reguilon in. So it might be a while before they be defensively sound. But I'm liking the look of Son for this fixture. He could be a nice differential captain as well. Apart from that, the Liverpool Arsenal game tends to always be higher scoring. Arsenal and Liverpool, I think, is the highest scoring fixture in the Premier League history. So looking at Salah, Mane, Trent, even Aubameyang, they could have high scores all around. And I'm not expecting any clean sheets in that game, but I'm expecting a really high score game.
I kind of agree with you. I agree with you. The other thing that might be is that Leeds, if you look at the underlying statistics, their expected goals are much lower than the goals that they've actually scored, and you would expect
Yeah.
that will average out over the season. So don't get too excited by Leeds assets. And also, it's very difficult to. I mean, Bamford and Klitsch have scored in 2 games consecutively, but it is very difficult to identify which Leeds player is going to do well when, because Bielsa's system is such that it's not easy to do that. So just be a little careful. Everton seems like a good team to double up on right now. Danny Ings and Jimenez are sort of continuing their form from last season. So again, if you don't have those players, it might be useful to transfer them in. They look like solid choices. Jamie Vardy is also looking good. But let's move forward, Shivan. This week's interesting because a lot of mid-table teams are clashing against each other, and we know those matches are generally very attritional. So, who are your captain choices? Because I think you already said Son, which is I think is a very good captain choice, and I'm considering him heavily. But who are your other captain choices?
Yes, there's no obvious captain choice for this week. If you see, because there's no big team playing a relegation fodder team, so the main option you look at is either Sterling or De Bruyne. De Bruyne last season at home was great, and so I'm considering him versus Leicester. Otherwise, Werner away to West Brom. So Chelsea haven't been convincing so far. They looked really average against Brighton, and then they lost to Chelsea, albeit against 10 men. They were 10 men. But I'm liking the look of Werner. He's looked great, and he hasn't had anyone alongside him who makes those passes. And he could have had 2 assists by now because getting 2 penalties. So I think against West Brom could be finally his time to shine. So he might get a couple of goals there. So he's a nice differential, not differential captain, but a nice captain for that week. And also, I like the look of Salah at home to Arsenal. I think Salah scored at home to Arsenal in the last 2 years. Last year, he got a brace against Arsenal. So he's definitely a captain you should all look at. Don't consider the Arsenal defense. Liverpool will score goals. And I think that's going to be a high-scoring fixture. In terms of differential captain, if you want someone left field, I'd say go for Raul Jimenez against West Ham. We know they have a COVID crisis right now with Moyes being having the virus, and even Issa Diop and another academy player. So West Ham might look in disarray. So Raul Jimenez, he likes to do well away from home, and Wolves are looking really strong, even though they lost to City. So I think that's a great option if you want a differential captain.
I know I agree with all of those, and of course we spoke about Son already. And I also want to say one more thing: we haven't mentioned the name of Aubameyang yet. And all this while, when we've been talking about getting De Bruyne or Sterling in, both of us are transferring Aubameyang out. That is what's going to happen. So I mean, I think that's such a given that everyone had pre-decided even in before. As soon as the fixtures came out that Aubameyang goes out in after game week 2. So I think the best option is to bring in Kevin De Bruyne or Sterling. If you already brought them in last week, I would not be averse to gambling on a Bruno Fernandes because he looks like a good option. Or you go for someone like a Heung-min Son. Or if you have 2 transfers, if you're willing to take the -4, you can go for a Werner or even a Harry Kane. The form that Harry Kane is in, it looks like a good transfer to do. So maybe you step down Aubameyang to maybe a Phil Foden and step up one of your strikers all the way to Harry Kane. I think that is a very good transfer to make. And I think if you do that, you'll end up saving money. So guys, you've heard it from us. These are our captain's choices. These are the transfers we're going to make. The United Star FPL League is heating up. The links are in the description below. Join it. Get into the action. If you win, this is your chance to win a free jersey. We think that Spurs and Everton are again pipped to have good game weeks. And finally, Super Frank Lampard's Chelsea might do something and support Timo Werner's, repay the faith of FPL managers in Timo Werner. So let's see what happens this week. Shivan, thanks for coming on. And we hope to see you all next week. And let us know in the comments how game week 2 was for you and which are the players you are looking out for in game week 3.